It's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll. I brought my little new babies inside since we're having this cold spell, and hopefully I'll keep them here until the cold spell is over, and hopefully they'll survive living in my home until they can get out and thrive in the garden. And so far my little begonias are looking good. So I hope they continue to. And this is in the African violet soil. And I did take them and water them until they're actually coming out the bottom of the pot just a little. I'm going to let them drip good there and then put them back in their little saucers and let them go for another week. And my little starts in the window have grown. They started so tiny, like these were just at the very bottom of the pot, but now they're up about at least a good 2 inches, maybe 3. This one's not quite as tall, but they're doing good. They're wanting to go back outside, and I'm wanting to get them out there. They do have a struggle getting started out there though, so I'll probably take them in and out a little bit, but I don't do a lot of that. I just don't have the time. I did start a few more seeds, and these are not doing that well, but if just one of them will live and shine in the garden, that would be great. These small ones are Rudbeckias, Cherry Brandy, and one of them is the Cherokee Sunset Rudbeckia, and then I have some Swiss chard in there, and some annual butterfly weed, and let's see what else. There's one other thing I know that I planted in there. Just a minute, I'll have to look at my thing. I can't remember what I put in there. The other thing was the Mexican sunflowers. Yes, they're pretty easy to just start in the garden, but for some reason I have not been able to keep an eye on them, and therefore I don't water them as they should. So I thought, well, I'll just start them where I can see them, but you can tell I do not have good luck with them. They come up spindly, and then they lay down, and then they're gone. But hopefully they won't be, if they'll just live, and I can take them in and out a little bit and get them going. And then right here is my purple splash or purple flash peppers. I've heard them called both names, so but they're beautiful, beautiful peppers, but they're actually looking probably a little worse than they did instead of a little better. I've only had them outside one time, and actually that was yesterday. The weather was gorgeous yesterday, and then today it's dipping so close to freezing that it may have gone to freezing a little bit, but hopefully it won't be enough that the outside plants will die. That's what I'm hoping. This one was brought in. This is the only pot that I had put my annuals for this season in, and it was just too heavy for me, but my husband brought this in for me yesterday, so hopefully it'll be ready to go back out, and I hope it will do well out there. I also did bring this little pot in because it has several of my bells of Ireland coming up in here, and I would love to keep some of these going in my garden every year from seed if possible. And right in the center of that I have planted, and I don't see any sign of it. Oh my goodness, but there's supposed to be a tall Laura phlox. They called a David phlox in there. I hope it lives. We'll just have to wait and see. So today it's cool outside, and we're supposed to get rain tomorrow and tomorrow night, I believe. Also have some chance for tornadoes, but we're going to hope that just, goes right on away. But I've got this root developer, and I'm going to, look how beautiful this sedum is coming out. Isn't that pretty? And I'm going to take and clip a bunch of it off. Not because I don't like it, but I'll show you what I'm going to do with it here in a little bit. Actually, I'll take this one around and show you, and then I'll finish the rest without showing you. But I usually just do go ahead and strip off a little bit of the bottom of each leaf or each stem. Also, I told our friend Sean that he could come and get some of this and do this if he wants to. It takes it a little bit to get started good and grow like this, but it does not take very long. It won't be another season before they'll be up and going great. And then they come back all the time, unless, of course, if they're in a tiny pot, a shallow pot, and we have a kind of freeze like we had that 10-day below zero freezer, most of the time was below zero. If we have that, and then I just put them down in this rooting powder, and then I'll take them around where I want to transplant. I'm going to get them started from the root. And because this little pot, I think it needs a little more soil in it, so I'm going to put a little bit more soil, get it topped up there a bit. And then I'll just take something and poke a little hole. And I usually just go ahead and use my scissors and just poke a little hole down in there and put this down, burn it up a little bit around it. And I'll just keep doing this until I get all my window boxes. And then of course I have that row right in front of the railroad ties on that end also that I'll want to fill up with these. It makes a pretty little green rosette, and they do go ahead and get big enough that they trail down over this too sometimes. So it's actually a very pretty and economical way to do something, because you can use these, and they will, like I say, they will go ahead and last through the winter and come right back. Not always in this shallow of a box, so you do want to put you some in the ground somewhere so that you'll have plenty to cut you some stems off for the ones that do die. But sometimes even in these little boxes they'll make it. Isn't it pretty? And then I'll water this in, and it'll be ready to start growing its roots. A few hours later, this is what we have. These little window boxes are full. I put some of the sedum little clippings in the front side of this pot, and I will probably put some pretty bright coleus behind that or something. That's my thought for now. These little window boxes are full. And from beside this swan all the way down to that hat are little window boxes that I have just lined up in a row, and they are all full now of the pretty sedum that has little yellow flowers in the spring, and they're actually very pretty, but they're called non-significant flowers because they're there for a short time, and this pretty little green is there all the time. And I lucked out to get a wonderful day to do it. It's cool. It's going to be cool for a little while. I see I left my shovel out here. So I'll need to get that and get it in. But just got a lot done and had, like I said, a good day to do it because my little sedum didn't even wilt. And if it's in the cool like this, it probably will be fine. So it's supposed to be cool for a few days, at least a couple of days. And then I don't think it's supposed to get just real hot yet. So it should do fine. It should build its root in probably about a week. And it'll just take off and go from there. I also put out a couple of my little garden art that I painted. So she's looking bright and pretty. And then this one back here, my granddaughter Riley painted this for me, and I left it the color she painted it. It was about to lose well, not all of its color, but a lot of its color, so it did need painting. But I loved it that she did the silver and orange. I would have never thought of those colors together, really. I would have probably used gold, but I love the silver and orange. I actually ended up using it on my Christmas tree after she used it because I liked it so much. And of course, as my pots filled up, this little area got a little more scraggly looking, but it will not take long for this to pick all back up and go again and just fill this area out. So it's a win-win. And because the time seems to be right as far as the weather and it being cool, and we may get rain, and this was destroyed by the cold, I did go ahead and put some little clippings right here and rooted those just with rooting powder. They don't have a root, so we'll see if they will build one while they have a good chance to build one. I put one there and also right down here where this one died out. So hopefully we'll have some more swirling butterflies, white Gara in those places. They looked so good up against the fence last year, so I'm hoping they'll be back again this year. And my little succulents that I had in this pot, and then the whole thing got blown over and dumped out, and I put them back in. I thought they might actually still grow, and they may have if we hadn't had that last frost, but they may not have anyway. But anyway, I was looking out the kitchen window and I saw this little empty pot, and I thought, why don't I just put one of those pink Garas in it, because I think that would be pretty. So we're going to give that a try too, since it's just the perfect day for doing it. And hopefully it'll go ahead and put its little root down before it even wilts. That would be great. Sometimes they do wilt, of course, but if they make a root and start putting if it starts looking fresh and standing up good, just clip the old dead stuff off and it will take off and go. We didn't even lose our beautiful lilacs. So I'm glad for that, and the beautiful bridal spirea is looking great. It's beginning to get fairly cool out here, and I put in a good day's work for the garden and feel that feeling of accomplishment. I always love to feel that. I know there's way more that needs to be done than I got done, but it's such a good feeling knowing that some of it is done and we can go farther and take the next step. The dianthus may not have actually liked that cold that we had recently, but it didn't take away their beauty any. They're just looking so good today. I did cover this little alyssum, and I actually, let's see, I covered this one too. And I took the one farther in back, I actually took it inside. So, but these made it fine just being covered, and I left this one out. And as you can see, it made it fine too. But there are definitely things that would not have made it if I hadn't have taken them in. And I'm so glad I did not have my newly purchased little ones, little annuals that I want to put in the garden. I didn't have them in the ground yet. They were still in their little pots that they come in, so which turned out to be a very good thing. So I could just pick them up and take them inside, which is what I did. And they're still in there. I'll probably wait until next week now to get those started again, but to get started doing that planting. But I'll be more ready now that I have this other taken care of, and I'll just feel better about doing it, which is one of my favorite parts, is making the little container gardens. And it took me part of yesterday and part of today just to bring things back out. These are a couple of the pots right here that I took in, and my husband helped me bring these back out today. I know there's just two little verbena in there, but I didn't want to lose them. And same with this pot, so hopefully they will live and become great beauties. Look how bright and green this pretty little ghost honeysuckle is. I probably need to trim it away from that little decor birdhouse a little bit, but it's just looking good today too. The cooler weather just sharpens the color so much better than when the heat is on. And this is the one that I took inside. I didn't want to lose not only this little compact alyssum, perennial alyssum, but also this pretty little bacopa. And it doesn't mind some cool weather, but I don't know if it could handle below 32 degrees. Although it wasn't below 32 too many hours, but I think they said there was at least 6 hours altogether, so that can still do some damage. And you can see it did damage on this little coleus, and I don't think I'm going to clip that off just yet because we're going to have some more cold nights, and I'm hoping that it won't get too cold for it, that I won't lose it, and that it'll be able to come out of that and just be a little star in this little show. I have not got my hoses laid. I have some more of them laid, but not very many at all. I'm still working on that, and I don't have all the holes made, even in the ones that I have there. But I have some of it done, and I'm planning on keeping that going too until I get it done, especially with my husband's help. He's made it a lot easier on me this year. Major Wheeler honeysuckle. So my little purple splash peppers and the few little seedlings that I started are not doing well. Hopefully I'll get them outside and get them some air and sun this coming week. And then today I also did start put some little seeds of Alternanthera Purple Night in here. I haven't found any yet in the nurseries, which I may still, but I wanted to be sure I had some if at all possible. Today is April the 23rd, and I was thinking my time schedule has eased up a bit since I've retired, and yet there's a time schedule in the garden. When it's time to plant, we've got to get with it because the weather won't be cool enough to plant always. We have been lucky this year, I feel. I know we had some really bad weather too, but for some reason it helped me when we had that first cold spell lasting 10 days. I got to sit back. First, I want to tell you that I planted this little woody salvia today. It's bright pink. I had one there for years and it fizzled out on me, and I didn't have one last year, and I certainly missed it. But I was going to tell you that those 10 days gave me some time to sit back and do a little bit of garden grooming that I did not get to do in the garden last year. And I was able to order my online plants and put some of my little Coleus starts rootings in little biodegradable pots and get those started and ready to go into the garden. When we start thinking of all those things you have to do, it can be so overwhelming, and I was definitely at that point. I hadn't even got through being overwhelmed from last fall, so actually I definitely needed some time, and God gave me that time. But then it was time to plant, and again I was not really ready to plant. But I was too. I love to do the planting, but the part I wasn't ready about was that I didn't have the things divided and put in different places, and I still don't have that done. But we're supposed to get some rain tonight, and I'm hoping we do, and I'll have a chance to have the ground be soft, and I'll go ahead and dig up some of the things that need to be transplanted, dug up and divided and transplanted. Look at this. These are little, let's see if we can get one for you where you can see it. This is my cherry tree. Can you see the little cherries on there? We have a mockingbird that watches this tree, and he's always ready when the cherries are ready. So this last little 2 days of being cold, I was lucky enough, as I told you, to have my plants inside, most of them, and then I watered everything else in, and I took some more in and covered quite a bit. So it was safe. And today I did quite a bit of just planting a few things and just clipping off some. I actually clipped off some of this one. I've tried them before and they didn't work, but I know they can work. So I put these in little rooting powder, and I'm trying to root those in the ground. And also, what was I going to tell you also? Oh, that I had a wonderful time to do it. That's another thing I love about this, that God's given me some time, because He gave me the time to go ahead and put this stuff in. And He gave me perfect weather for it, because it's cool. It's not too hot to transplant. It's not too hot to start little rootings, because they'll just do well. The ones I planted yesterday in the front are just looking great. You can't even tell that they don't have a root on them. They look like they already have a root. And that's the way it usually works if you can catch it on a rainy day. I've been out here planting in the mist many times, because it just doesn't go it doesn't get that transplant shock. And so I've done it, and be grateful for it. And I'm grateful for this time. Even though it's a little cooler than it normally is at this time, it's giving me the time to go ahead and do the things I didn't have time for. Because once you need to plant, like I say, you need to plant, because you can't wait. You can't go ahead and do all this stuff and then plan on planting, because it most likely will be too hot, and you won't even be able to find the plants you want if you don't get started when everybody else does. They're going to be gone. It's going to be kind of like that toilet paper that everybody was looking for. And I know that's getting old, but I just had to think of it right then. So I did so much putting in little things and clipping them and starting roots, and I'm hoping that it will be a wonderful time. I'm pretty sure it will be. I also did put my little cactus in the ground, and you can tell its little panicles are just coming right on up there. I see 3 right there now. So pretty soon I'll probably break those off when they get big enough and start them on the other side or in the back of it, and just let it fill out. Look at this little stunner. Isn't that a beautiful bright purple? This is one of the salvias that I got at Sunshine Nursery. I had a slightly paler one of these, and I did love it, but it died out. It died out during that 10 days of really cold, sun below zero weather that we had. And I cut off a little sprig, actually 2 little sprigs of it, and just put them in here. They have no root, and I'm not positive that they'll make a root, but I know they're going to have a really good chance. If you look back at some of those that I started in the middle of summer, I tried to start some of the coleus that just did not work, and that's why it was just too hot for them. Although I've tried it then, sometimes you just have to go with what you've got and try it. Sometimes it'll work. Most of the time, if it's that hot, it will not work. So but that's why I'm so happy with this type of weather right now, because I think we have a very good chance of them working. Now, if it just doesn't come a tornado and blow it all away, and I'm saying that sort of facetiously, but also we have been warned. So I think tonight and next Tuesday we have chances of it, but I'm hoping that we miss those, of course. And even though I did get a lot done, there's still so much to do. This is a little coneflower, echinacea, and I forget if it's the orange one or the yellow one, but I have one here that's one of those colors, and then one right across over here that is the other color. So these will be really pretty, but I do need to divide them. This one not necessarily quite so much, but it probably wouldn't hurt to divide it. Then you'd have 2 chances of getting one to live. If something happened to one, you'd have another. And then, of course, this one has several in there that I need to divide and put in other places, and I want that. I want lots of pretty color. There's lots of places in the garden. Yellow is a wonderful blending in color. Still have not got my mums. I need to thin these out to divide them and get rid of half of them. And then here's another one I need to get rid of at least half of, and then just right across over here is more that I need to get some of it. At least this that's coming right out over the pathway, I need to get rid of that, and it's really harder to do than it sounds, but I'm hoping that after our rains I'll be able to get out here and maybe get some of these other jobs done. But I feel better about it now that I have some of the jobs done. I have a better chance of getting the others done. But I also want to plant. I have many little plants inside that I got at the nurseries that need to be in a pot, and I will very much want to get that done. So somehow I've got to try to get both of those things done, if at all possible. I also planted another peony on my back, or this side of my back fence, and I took my blue salvia, black and blue salvia, and made cuttings from it, and I'm trying to start their roots over where the one that I had before the 10-day freeze. It died there, so I'm trying to get one restarted in that area. You can definitely see where these old stalks were, where this one did not come back. So these are just little cuttings. They don't have a root. I just put them in rooting powder and put them in the ground. Well, I'll just have to keep a lookout on them and see how they will do, and I'm hoping they will do great. I am thankful that we have some of these cooler days where it won't be below freezing, and they should have a good chance of putting their little roots down without wilting away in the process. Look at this beautiful little sedum, how it's coming out. It made it through the cold. A lot of things did make it through, but just losing some of it was no fun. But right here beside it is some more of the Shasta daisies that I need to dig up, divide, and move to different places. It's just too thick right here, and probably on down the west fence there's more that are probably too thick too. I think these I put in just last year though, from divisions of another one that I had, but they did look great here. And I still have places I need to put some things, some bare spots. A lot of it is this, like way back up against the back fence row, and I would like to get some things going there. You know, where a plant is not, a weed will be. And then these are still my scabiosa that I still have not got divided, and I do want to do that. I may try to get that done today. I'm not sure if I will or not, but I would like to, and get those started in this little pot right here where they died out. You can tell they're gone. So I would like to put those in there, at least some of them. I also like to keep a few in-ground ones because they have a better chance of lasting when you do get the extra cold weather in the ground than they do in pots. Although sometimes they will make it in pots, but I don't like to be that risky with them if I can keep from it. It's always good to have 2 or 3. I read one time that you should always have, I think it said 3, 1 to keep, 1 in case the one you wanted to keep gets a rodent or something happens to it, and 1 to give away if a friend comes by and wishes they had one. Look how this little this is another coneflower. Look how it is coming up, and this one back here too. So I definitely need to divide those and put those in different places, and maybe we'll have coneflowers going again in the garden. And these were amaryllises or amaryllises, however you say that, but they're getting ready to bloom. They're putting on their buds, and I have some other things I want to get done, and then next week I'll get back in the garden and start my pots, and I'll try to show those to you as I get those ready. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel.